Hello again, YouTube. Jake here. Happy holidays, and welcome back to another Reading Too Much Into Things review of Kamen Rider Ghost. And it's another double episode at that. So, where'd we leave off? Oh yes. Takeru, age 18, is dead but given 99 days to locate 13 important historical artifacts that people ignore giving to museums and instead destroy them to gain power and fight against evil Ganma, trying to do the same, only killing people. Why? Because if you gather 13 of these icons, you get a wish, and Takeru's would be to stop being dead. Mine would be that the show about historical figures would be more historically accurate. However, in his last fight, he failed to get the Nobunaga icon, which was snatched away by the newly introduced writer, Spectre. Now, I've mentioned this before, but from my understanding of weekly series like these, by the time the 5th episode is being written, the staff has finally gained the audience reaction to the first episode. That's why you'll see a lot of character and tone changes on the 5th episode of a first season. Let's see if that turns out to be the case with Ghost as we jump into episode 5, Shogeki Nazu no Kamen Rider, roughly translated as Shocking, the Mystery Kamen Rider. We get our first shock that they did do what I joked that they could and jump to 57 days remaining, meaning that nothing of TV importance happened for a month in the story since after the Nobunaga incident. Our show proper begins with Akari asking questions she should have been asking 29 days ago. Clearly, everyone in Japan was hit by some coma gas and are just waking up, or it took people a month to calm down from the whole business center of their town getting yanked into the sky, or the writers got a note explaining that 99-day time limit for a 50-episode long series isn't dramatic. Or a movie happened off-screen. Knowing Kamen Rider the way I do, none of these are unreasonable to expect. Takeru does not take losing not only an icon but also a month at all well. Meanwhile, on top of the roof, the two mysterious Ganma masters, Hat and Daijob, are not pleased with each other, and Daijob refers to himself as we, and Hat says all of you, leaving me to joke that Daijob is his hair having taken over his body. And so, despite having done so 30 days ago, Daijob releases even more blank Ganma orbs into the city, which possess some hard-working government agents. The next day, someone clad in leather approaches the temple, and if you can't tell from the visual difference between him and their lead, the music informs us. This is clearly Spectre before he transforms. Meanwhile, the group finally has a new job offer from a child. Turns out his closed school was to be made into a new city hall. Parents and taxpayers were not pleased. And then ghost guns. In Japan, the idea of being shot at is, in 90% of circumstances, is rare and freaky. So yeah, this is not explainable. Takeru shows how much of a caring hero he is by not caring that people are being shot at. Akari, meanwhile, is busy, annoyed that science has only helped prove that ghosts exist so far, not disprove them, and yet starts to tune in on on Sage's trolling. We cut to the protests where... Okay, it's starting to get to the point where American viewers should find this excessive. Never mind kids. Takeru engages the Ganma with a machine gun arm that's been causing trouble. Freeze it, whose design is pretty snazzy. More so here than others so far, you get the sense of it being a base Ganma, black suit and blue eyes, with another personality placed on top of it. Also, the suggestion of smoking wounds all over the coat and hat are really eye-catching. However, the Ganma shows how lame he is by leaving the second he takes damage. Takeru chases after him through traffic, and I can't tell if they're still ghosting and no one can see the large swerving white car. However, Takeru is then attacked by Spectre in his own bike, allowing the Ganma to escape and leading to a Ghost Spectre bike chase battle, which Spectre wins, knocking Takeru into and then out of a commercial break. We then get a scene to show how much stronger Spectre is than Ghost, and him asking Spectre all the questions Akari was asking earlier. Spectre then lecture pummels him, pointing out all of his character flaws for being a new writer and having done no training for 30 days since Spectre last showed up. We also get Spectre showing off the power of Nobunaga to go up against Edison, and his version of Takeru's sword of many uses is a giant blue fist. They argue for a split second on how to treat the powers based on ghosts of historical figures, and Takeru tries to kick him. Spectre answers with a volley of gunfire. There's a lot of gunfire in this episode. After knocking Takeru out of his armor, Takeru's Edison icon is taken by Spectre. Having clearly won, he detransforms into the aforementioned leather-wearing man from the temple. For now, I'll keep calling him Spectre, but I will point out he's played by Ryosuke Yamamoto, whose roles are things I don't know. Spectre does not like that Takeru, who he beat and thus must be weak, talks about protecting others while ignoring his own safety. I am unsure if he's aware Takeru is a ghost. You have already. First episode. Before becoming a writer, you saw the pair of Gamma after the icon your dad sent, drew them away from your friends despite knowing you had no chance of winning. Why are you unsure of yourself now? Spectre leaves and is approached by Daijob. They have a vaguely defined talk about certain points that is meant to leave us asking if he's working for the villains or not, including that they are best friends, but that Spectre can't help him right now. Yes, next scene. What I really find insulting is that they're having Takeru go through this personal conflict in front of the kid whose mother was wounded by the Ganma multiple times. And they just leave him standing there when the adult he went to can do absolutely nothing. So when the kid is unimpressed with his work, I don't blame him. Okay, I'm being a bit hard on him. What the conflict is that he's unsure which resolve is stronger in him. His resolve to protect others, or his resolve to come back to life again. Granted, we established before that even if he takes a fatal wound, it would only hurt like he had died again, but not kill him. Also, if he does not revive himself before the time limit is up, he'd be fully dead and thus unable to defend anyone. Thus the resolve should be to come back to life so you can keep protecting others. I'm just saying. Takeru ghosts into the site that is being protested and finds the possessed city workers, revealing that since they were taken over, yep, they are trying to make another Ganma hole. He expels the Ganmas from the likely well-meaning government employees, but the gangster Ganma appears to defend them. Akari and Onari end up getting grabbed during the battle and used as hostages, handicapping him because of his inability to choose between the icon, his chance for life, and his friends he wants to protect. Time for Spectre to show off his much more traditional henshin pose. Sorry, but I don't think I like this new boy-focused version of Doki Doki Precure. Spectre, when attacked, shows that it's not just Nobunaga he has the icon of, but also Pharaoh Tutankhamun, complete with beard horns on the ghost coat. Spectre's snake familiar jumps onto the hand, making it a scythe weapon, and he takes out the gangster Ganma with a pyramid black hole. Wrap your head around that one. Spectre grabs Takeru's Newton icon, which he dropped earlier, and the two have a duel of rider kicks, which, if you've been following this episode, Spectre wins. However, the episode ends redeeming Takeru slightly by his having grabbed Newton back during the exchange. Spectre is scared off by Onari's most powerful weapon, annoying yelling. However, it seems Daijob's plans are already in motion for this location. And that was episode 5, but we can't stop now. How will Takeru's resolve for life fare in episode 6? Ume! Saiki no Melody, roughly translated as Destiny, the Restored Melody. Time to jump forward to 45 days remaining. Sage gets right to the point. Next up, Beethoven. But before we can get either wrong or misleading icon information about the historical composer, Akari comes in with a new request. However, something's amiss as Takeru seems unable to become visible even when he tries. The glitter works to reveal him, Sage, and Mascot. However, for Takeru, it only lasts a few moments as he fades again. This is what happens when you have a down-the-dumps ghost, it seems. We cut to a music college, the source of the request this time, and Onari quasi gets clued in. If he knew everything, he'd start shouting. This won't stop him from shouting later, I assure you, but it's better to space them out now and then. The noise of the crowd is brought up for us, the listeners, to be aware of, but then suddenly removed. I make a point of this as I'm talking over the scene, thus it'd make no sense looking at a mute video going mute. Despite sound stopping, the client is able to explain to Akari and Onari that this has been happening a lot around her brother, who has hit a creative slump recently. We cut to the brother who fake plays the piano just fine really, and we return to people who do not care that their lives are in risk by a ghost, because reasons, which will likely result in them realizing they still want to live when Takeru ghost hugs their souls. However, before Akari can full shout at the brother, the Gamma mutes everything again. The Gamma with a powdered wig. Well, at least the gangster one was coolly designed. And Takeru engages, leading to a fight that is mostly soundless except for the Gamma's constant noise. We finally get sound again as Takeru is blasted back, but before he can finish him off, Spectre appears again. And because he's the rival character, and fighting the Gamma does not create icons, he attacks Takeru, even taking out the Edison icon he stole from the last episode. Takeru, terrified of the idea of getting hurt, runs away, but as he drops the Musashi icon, which isn't too surprising, I think Musashi would leave him on purpose at this point, Akari swoops in to grab the icon away from Spectre. Spectre does not take this well, going as far to threaten to shoot her in the face. Yikes. However, he backs down fairly quickly, leaving me to think that he has his own woman he is fighting for, either a sister or girlfriend, as these cases usually run. And lets her keep the Musashi icon.
Takeru? Iru no? Takeru!
Our hero, ladies and gentlemen. 6 episodes in and he's already so scared he'd leave his childhood friend to die. We cut to the brother finishing his composition, and we see that Beethoven's music sheets? Really? Gah! I'll never get over this. How annoying the use of historical artifacts in the show is. We see that the Gamma whispers to him that a true genius composer is only remembered after their death, trying to push him to the last few steps into becoming the Beethoven ghost coat. We then cut to Spectre, who is having a chat with his sister's soul icon, but before he can delve too far into his backstory, Daijab shows up again, wanting him to join up again. Spectre tosses Daijab the Edison icon for his plan before driving off. We cut back to the temple, and Takeru is still so frightened that he hasn't reappeared yet. We get a flashback to the brother being given the sheet music by Mystery Hat, which soothes my rage over the plot point as well as my rage towards episode 2. Akari guesses right that Takeru is hiding under the temple and tries to motivate him.
タケルが死んで生き返ったり、ガンマやおっちゃんが見えるようになったり、いろいろありすぎて追いついていけないけど。
Again, I remind you, we went from episode 4 ending at 87 days left at the end of the episode to episode 5 with 57 days left at the start. She has had a month in which she has been able to see Ganma, Sage, and dealing with ghosts and the supernatural. I know it's a change to her whole worldview, but most people would have something of a new worldview planned out after 30 days of a life-changing event like that. I would think. As she tries to quasi-guilt Takeru over her not knowing how to handle this new life, we learn that the brother is planning to jump off a roof. We cut to the roof in question, and the brother arguing that if you're not famous, it's the same as being dead. Akari does not take that well. The specter watches from the distance. His speech drags Takeru out of his funk that he starts to glow gold, pulling the brother off the ledge, just for him to instantly get back on the ledge with one whisper from the Ganma. Leading to Takeru's trump card, I called it, a ghost soul hug so dramatic that even Spectre decides not to rain on his day. Takeru creates the Beethoven ghost, and after keeping the Ganma away from it for long enough, turns it into an icon, transforming into his brand spanking new Beethoven form. And I'm just realizing how many forms this show is likely to end up having, and my eyes are starting to cross. I get the feeling we won't see this form that much. That CG cannot be cheap. Akari throws him the Musashi icon, and he switches to that form to finish off the Ganma. And so our episode ends with Takeru so out of his slump, he has time to make fun of Akari's worship of almighty science, and Akari's refusal that these events can't be explained. And that was episode 6. What I think of these two? I'm still not crazy about the show. It feels like we were introduced to a mid-season plot point, that of Spectre, in the first quarter of this series, as well as that weird 30-day jump in the timeline, but no one reacting to having lost a whole month. We are now halfway through the time limit by the 6th episode. Unless they want to bring him back earlier than expected in the rest of the show, he's mortal, I can't see them speeding up the clock much faster if this is going to be a 48 to 50 episode long series. But just because I'm not crazy about the show doesn't mean I'll stop reviewing. We are in for the long haul, and you, the viewers, and I. Thanks for sticking with me through another double episode review. Have a lovely holiday, and for once, may the Force be with you.